Sometimes in life, we come across things that leave us scratching our heads. It happens to sports fans, office clerks, teachers, plumbers, and yes, scientists. They can't be expected to understand the greatest mysteries of the past any more than we can. It's not like any of us were there to experience it, so all we can do is learn what we can from incredible discoveries like the ones in this video. We begin with the news that in northern Poland near Chemlo, archaeologists have uncovered bronze objects and human bones dating back 2,500 years to the Iron Age. These artifacts are remnants of sacrificial rituals conducted by the Lusatian culture, which inhabited the region during that time. The site is located close to the notable Lusatian fortified settlement of Biskupen. The area, now farmland, was once a lake in the 6th century BCE. Depositing metal objects in bodies of water as offerings was a common practice in prehistoric Europe, and this discovery marks the first lake site in Poland where metal artifacts and human remains have been found together. The lake eventually transformed into a peat bog, preserving the artifacts, bones, and rare organic materials such as rope and textiles in its anaerobic environment. During recent plowing, members of a metal detecting group noticed artifacts on the surface and promptly alerted archaeologists from Nicolaus Copernicus University. Excavations revealed 3 distinct groupings of deposits, including neck torques, bangle bracelets, beads, spirals, large brooches, horse harness fittings, and a unique necklace adorned with fishtail pendants. While most objects exhibit the Lusatian style, some reflect Scythian influences from present-day Ukraine. In January 2023, the remains of Anne d'Allegra, a 16th century countess of Laval in France, were studied with new technology. Her remains were found in 1987 during an excavation in the chapel of the Vieux Château de Laval, but an important detail was missed at the time. The teeth of the countess were kept in place using gold wire. This is yet another odd detail about the burial of the countess, who's already well known to historians and archaeologists for being buried in a lead coffin inside a wooden sarcophagus with a human heart in a tiny lead casket placed atop the exterior casket. Nobody knows who the heart belongs to. There's no inscription or other identifying material. Her remains have been embalmed by someone with expert skill. While it's possible that the gold wire was used to hold her teeth in place after she died, experts think that's unlikely. She had periodontal disease, and her teeth would have been loose, so the wire would have been a practical and probably painful way of keeping them in place. The Oloborun Shipwreck is thought to be 3,300 years old, but nobody knows for sure. It can be found off the southwest coast of Turkey and is said to be one of the oldest shipwrecks in the whole world, not to mention one of the richest. Turkish sponge divers came across the wreck by accident in 1982, sparking a frenzy of marine archaeological activity, which resulted in the retrieval of valuable copper ingots and ceramic containers full of grapes and figs. The ship's design suggests that it came from Cyprus, although a Syro-Palestinian origin is also possible. There's so little wood left that carbon dating is impossible, and so the estimate of 3,300 years comes from a gold scarab engraved with the name of the Egyptian queen Nefertiti. Given its size and the amount of cargo, it's safe to say that this would have been a devastating loss for whoever had paid for it to sail. A November 2022 study concluded that there's so much bronze aboard that it can't all have been destined for one customer, meaning that there may have been a complex trade network in the Mediterranean all that time ago. It's also been proven that the tin ingots found aboard the vessel came from a remote mine in Uzbekistan, further adding to the mystery. A strange skull-like object and a small humanoid-like mummified body have reportedly been discovered in a cave in the Peruvian desert. Claims suggest that tests are being conducted on these findings, including DNA analysis. However, doubts have arisen regarding the authenticity of the objects, and no specific details about their exact location or the discoverer have been disclosed. Author Brian Forrester, who claims to have found the objects, appears in a YouTube video and on his website, expressing his intention to have the objects examined. He describes the skull as having bone-like material with skin, non-human eyes resembling amphibians or reptiles, and a tiny mouth, seemingly unsuited for feeding. Forrester expresses his bafflement and doubts that the specimens could be fakes. The alleged discovery has generated interest and speculation in the UFO community, but critics remain skeptical. Mr. Forrester has faced scrutiny in the past, particularly regarding DNA tests on elongated Paracas skulls, which were claimed by him to lack human DNA, but turned out to be entirely human. These newer strange objects will undergo DNA and radiocarbon testing in reputable laboratories in North America to further investigate their nature. Deep under the South China Sea, 2 shipwrecks from the Ming Dynasty have been discovered. One of the wrecks, known simply as Ship 1, is filled with thousands of perfectly preserved porcelain artifacts intended for export trade. The porcelain is stacked and nested in vessels, covering an area of 30,000 square feet. Archaeologists estimate that there are over 100,000 individual pieces dating back to the Zentoku era of the 16th century. The second shipwreck, Ship 2, was carrying uniform-sized wood logs, likely intended for shipbuilding. This is the first time that both an export cargo and an import cargo have been found in the same area, highlighting the extensive maritime trade routes along the Maritime Silk Road. The challenging task of underwater archaeology in deep waters led to the launch of a new investigation by the Cultural Heritage Administration of Hainan Province. Using a manned submersible and a new surveying and mapping base point, researchers aim to map the shipwrecks in detail. Advanced technological approaches, including bionic-inspired soft robotics and material science, will be employed to salvage relics from the wrecks. The investigation will span approximately a year, involving surveying, evaluating preservation conditions, and determining measures for long-term protection of the wrecks. A May 2023 discovery off the coast of Beit Yanai, Israel, has unveiled a fascinating glimpse into the past through the remains of an ancient shipwreck. The site, dating back 1,800 years to the Roman Empire, has yielded an astonishing trove of rare marble artifacts. The find, believed to be the oldest sea cargo of its kind in the eastern Mediterranean, consists of approximately 44 tons of Roman period marble architectural pieces. These marble blocks, likely sourced from Turkey, were likely destined for a port in the southern Holy Land. Archaeologists are excited by the significance of this discovery, as the marble blocks were potentially intended for the construction of an elaborate public building, possibly a grand temple or a magnificent theater. The sheer size and quality of these architectural elements indicate the grandeur and scale of the intended structure. While similar architectural elements were often made locally and covered in white plaster to imitate marble, these artifacts are genuine marble. Excavations at the site are set to continue, with a focus on uncovering any remains of the ship itself. This exploration aims to shed more light on the vessel's design, size, and construction techniques, as well as offer insights into ancient maritime trade routes and navigation practices. In May 2023, archaeologists in Israel confirmed that they'd uncovered a 2,000-year-old financial record on the pilgrimage road in the city of David, Jerusalem, shedding light on the commercial activities of the Second Temple period. The Israel Antiquities Authority revealed that the small stone tablet likely served as a receipt or payment instruction, providing valuable insight into the daily lives of the city's inhabitants. The inscription features partially preserved lines with Hebrew names, letters, and numbers. One line ends with the name Shimon, followed by the Hebrew letter Mem, while other lines include symbols representing numbers, some accompanied by the letters Mem or Resh, abbreviations for money and quarters respectively. Similar inscriptions have been found in Jerusalem and Bet Shemesh, but this is the first one discovered within the boundaries of ancient Jerusalem during that period. The tablet was carved onto a chalkstone slab, which was likely originally used as an ossuary, suggesting the possibility of local trading or craftsmanship. The pilgrimage road, as its name suggests, served as a crucial route for both pilgrims and commercial activities, emphasizing the importance of this discovery in understanding the historical narrative of Jerusalem. The Japanese word Hanwa means circle of clay, and is used to describe a specific type of terracotta cylinder statue ornament that the ancient occupants of Japan were fond of making between the 3rd and 6th centuries. Most often, Haniwa were used to mark the borders of Japanese burial grounds reserved for the elite of Japanese society. On rare occasions, Haniwa were made of wood rather than clay, and in December 2022, the discovery of an enormous wooden Haniwa was confirmed among the Mozu Fuiichi Kofun group of burial mounds in the west of the country. The area is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Standing just over 11 feet tall, this is the largest wooden Haniwa ever to be found in the country. The artifact was found when archaeologists excavated a former moat around the Minigazuka Kofun tomb, which was created during the 5th century. It's made of koyamaki, which is a kind of Japanese pine that was favored by people who held power in Japan at the time. That suggests the occupant of the tomb held a high position within the society of the time, and may even have been a ruler, but sadly, there's no trace of their name to be found. Old coins are found all over the world every day, and don't usually make for good discovery stories. There are exceptions to that statement, though. And here's one of them. It's a massive hoard of bronze coins weighing 1.5 tons, and it was found in the Chinese village of Shuangdun, Jiangsu Province, in December 2022. All of the coins were minted within 100 years of each other, beginning in the late Tang Dynasty era of the 9th century and ending in the Song Dynasty era of the 10th. At the time of their discovery, the coins were still held together by straw ropes passed through the holes in the center and arranged in neat piles. It's clear that the act of burial was deliberate and was probably intended as a means of safeguarding the hoard. For whatever reason, nobody ever returned and dug the coins back up again. There was a battle between Song and Jin troops close to the site of this discovery in the 10th century, so archaeologists have speculated that there was once a military camp here, and that the coins were the wages of soldiers. Next, we go to France for a discovery that was confirmed on Christmas Eve 2022. It's a prehistoric necropolis in Aubagne, which is in the southeast of the country. Research is ongoing, but archaeologists believe the necropolis was in use between 2,600 and 2,900 years ago. A whole host of discoveries has been made within the necropolis, but the one that's got the experts most excited is an individual who was found covered in copper jewelry, including a copper alloy bracelet and a twisted copper necklace. They also went to their eternal rest with a pearl and stone jewel affixed to an item of clothing on their left shoulder, although all that remains today is the jewel. The clothing rotted away a very long time ago. In addition, they had 3 bangles on each of their ankles, 3 toe rings, a copper brooch, and a sizable ceramic urn. 10 burials have thus far been identified at the necropolis, but the other 9 are nowhere near as grand as this one. It's probably safe to assume that this person was the leader of this as yet unknown community. Archaeologists have been digging through a site in Fürstenfeldbruck, Bavaria, Germany since 2021. One of the most fascinating things they've found there so far is a well. It's not any old well either, it's a 3,000-year-old wishing well. The well is 17 feet deep and lined with wood. Right at the bottom of it, perfectly preserved, is a collection of ritual deposits that date back to the Bronze Age. The deposits, as the name suggests, were placed into the well on purpose. The goods include 70 decorated cups, bowls, and pots of a kind usually associated with grave goods. Each was individually wrapped and gently lowered into the well with great care. meaning that many of them were fully intact. Other goods recovered from the bottom of the wishing well include metal spirals, animal tooth pendants, and bronze clothespins. Most of the finds, though, are coins. Historians aren't sure whether the coins were thrown into the well for good luck or because the people of the era understood on some level that copper and silver had biocidal properties and made well water safer to drink. We mostly associate runestones with Scandinavia and the Vikings. Plenty of runestone artifacts have been discovered in Scandinavian nations over the years, but there's a special significance to the one that was first reported in January 2023. According to experts, it's the oldest runestone ever to be found in Norway. The experts haven't rushed to make that conclusion. The stone was first discovered in 2021, but hasn't been reported on until now because it was still being studied. This discovery was made in a burial ground not far from Tyrfjorden Lake, which is in Svingarudsteinen. Only one of the burials at the site contained a runestone, and this is it. It was found in a simple-looking burial comprising cremated bones inside a flat grave surrounded by charcoal. Scientists have performed an osteological study on the bones and determined that the deceased is an adult who passed away somewhere towards the beginning of the 3rd century. The runes carved into the stone they were buried with are, unsurprisingly, primitive, but spell the word Idibera. That was a popular woman's name of the era and seemingly confirms the identity of the deceased. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and enjoy watching new videos on my channel. Thanks for watching and see you soon!